Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
The all-new 2026 Hyundai Palisade Hybrid doesn't just turn heads. It commands respect. With its stunning exterior, luxurious interior with available captain seats, and spacious third-row seating and equipped with advanced technology, you and the family are making a statement before you even step out. Okay, Hyundai. Visit HyundaiUSA.com to learn more and experience the all-new 2026 Palisade Hybrid today.
Don't chew on that, Max.
Cooper loves that chew, too.
Oh, now he's into Cooper's food. Wow, he is loving it. What do you feed Cooper?
Blue Buffalo Life Protection Formula. He never leaves a crumb. I love it because it's made with high-quality protein, nutrient-rich fruits and veggies, and wholesome whole grains.
Looks like we're switching to Blue.
Blue Buffalo foods are made with the superior ingredients your dog needs to thrive. Can your dog food say that? Visit feedbluefood.com to learn more.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac Extra Value Meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.
Are you a forward thinker? Then you need an HR and finance platform that thinks like you do. Workday is the AI platform that helps propel your organization, your workforce, and your industry into the future. Workday, moving business forever forward.
Guys, now that part 5 of Pablo Torre Finds Out, Kawhi Leonard, Steve Ballmer, Clippers Aspiration has dropped on Monday, he's officially hit miniseries territory. This is a miniseries that we were watching unfold in podcast form.
Clipped season 2?
Funny you should mention that, Amin, because I've done a little wish casting here. I've got a cast. I've got some crew members for the dramatization. Okay, so Pablo's doing the docuseries on his podcast. I want to fictionalize it.
Oh, so this is like OJ in America.
This is clipped.
It's an American crime story. It's clipped.
There it is. Yeah.
It's all happening. And so I'm going to start with the title. All right, we'll start with the title. It's nice and easy. Lofty Aspirations.
Okay.
Lofty Aspirations. We're aiming high. We got aspiration in there.
What about White Loftus instead of White Lotus? No?
Tom, I'll take your feedback at the end. Please let me finish my elevator pitch before I take notes.
Okay.
There's 2 ways we could go with this story. We could have a little bit more lighthearted, a little more clipped action, a little more comedy infused. If we're going that way, we got to go with Pablo's Spider-Man meme. We've seen him in studio with Andrew Lopez from The Bear and Platonic.
Yep.
Doppelganger. That's if we're going a little more lighthearted. But I'm not satisfied with that. We need a project that's going to match Pablo's own journalistic ambition. We're aiming for trophies. Pablo's not optioning his life rights unless he thinks that he's getting an Emmy or an Oscar. And in that case, we're casting Stephen Yeun.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Pedro Pascal.
He's in everything. But we're going with Stephen Yeun from Walking Dead, Minari, Beef, Mickey 17.
Okay.
Next up, it's a two-hander, okay? Who's the most powerful figure on the other side of this story? We've talked about him a lot.
Dennis Robertson?
Uncle Dennis?
Uncle Dennis. And nobody could play Uncle Dennis quite like Denzel Washington. So now we've got Stephen Yeun, we've got Denzel Washington, we got Denzel Washington storming into the Toronto Raptors owner's office. We got Denzel Washington negotiating with Aspiration and with the Clippers. All those scenes are going to be a 10 out of 10.
That payment is late.
Now for Adam Silver. Now this one was a little bit tougher because we got to get somebody who's going to commit and shave his head. But we also need somebody who's the right frame. And I thought of nobody other than John Turturro.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, well done. I like that one a lot.
That's your favorite so far?
John Turturro is Adam Silver.
Now, is he going to shave his head, though? He's got to shave his head.
He is, yeah.
No bald caps around here.
We're ponying it up.
Mace, no bald caps.
No bald caps. We're shaving his head, and we're not talking about freshly shaven. Like, he's going to have to shave and get some sun so that it looks like he's been bald for a while.
Tom, I have this theory that if you're an actor, you got to play a bald character, and you don't shave your head, you're a fraud.
Yeah. Does this extend to SNL? Because that's a weekly show. You can do ball caps there.
No, I'm talking about a movie, like something real, like, I don't know, Terminator Salvation. Your name is Elena Bonham Carter.
Wow.
Just as an example, I'm just pulling from the blue.
Weird. Well, speaking of cinephobe, we had a movie where we called someone Steve Ballmer. I mean, do you remember which one that was?
Oh, no, I don't.
It's Volcano. It's Volcano, and the actor in question is John Carroll Lynch.
He's not alive, is he?
He's a dead ringer for Steve Ballmer. He's still alive. He looks more like Steve Ballmer than ever.
Oh, wow.
He looks way more like Steve Ballmer than the guy they trotted out for clips. So John Carroll Lynch.
There he is, yeah.
Is our Steve Ballmer. They conned him, okay? Now, the most important casting yet, Tom, it's Amin Elhassan.
Oh, I'm in this.
Who is playing Amin Elhassan in this very serious Stephen Yoon-led Pablo Torre series? We need somebody with a bit of levity. We need somebody who's fulfilling Amin's role in these Pablo Torre Finds Out episodes. I'm going with the guy. He's having a great moment on Peacemaker right now. Tim Meadows as Amin Elhassan.
No. Dude is like 15 years older than me.
I'm so bummed.
Come on.
Look, and he's so mad. He's so mad.
Tim Meadows is like 58. What are you doing?
Yeah. All right, what about Dave Chappelle?
No, Dave Chappelle's like 55. What are you guys doing? Lakeith Stanfield. That's a guy who could play me.
Well, unfortunately, Lakeith Stanfield might be occupied.
For Kawhi?
He is my casting for Kawhi Leonard.
Wow!
But I also have a pitch, so maybe Lakeith can play Amin, because I have a pitch where Kawhi Leonard is like a Milford man in Arrested Development. He's never seen or heard.
You never seen him. Yeah.
We have scenes with Denzel and John Carroll Lynch. They're in the meetings, and then just off camera, silently whispering, is Kawhi Leonard.
A lot of shadows, a lot of over-the-shoulder shots, kind of like Michael Jordan in Air.
Yes.
Right? We never actually see Michael Jordan.
Blocked by plants or columns that are conveniently placed in the room.
We've got the press conference, and it's shot over his shoulder, and we see whoever plays Ramona asking the questions.
Did you perform any services for them?
When you say understanding, what do you mean?
Like the contract you signed and how much money you were to receive, what you were supposed to perform for those services?
I understand the full contract and the services that I had to do. Like I said, I don't deal with the conspiracies or the clickbait analysts or journalism that's going on. So that's what it is.
Well, I think the allegation was that you didn't perform any services for them. Is that accurate, or did you?
I don't think it's accurate, but it's old. This is all new to you guys. The company went bankrupt a while ago, so we already knew this was going to happen. So,
did you were named as like the largest creditor in the bankruptcy filing, right? Did you actually get the money that was owed to you in the contract, or?
No. But the company went belly up. It was fraud, as everybody knows. If you want any more questions or more details about that company, you need to ask the owner or whoever else is involved in the fraud that went on.
Right, I think it said they owed you $7 million or something, right?
I'm not sure. I gotta look back at the books, but no, it's more than that for sure.
Do you have any idea of how much you actually made on that?
No, it was like 2, 3, 4 years ago.
And just a big ass hand. Maybe we give him hands like Charlie's uncle in Always Sunny, and he grabs the microphone clumsily.
Or it's like a Charlie Brown cartoon where all of his lines are garbled, like all the adults in Charlie Brown.
Are you done? Because I think you ruined Amin's day by giving him Tim Meadows.
Tim Meadows is just so much older, man. Like, that dude's an old dude.
You're obsessed with the age. I was going for vibe. Like, I think most of the ages are on point, but Denzel is probably way too old to be Uncle Dennis.
You have the vibe of a 65-year-old man, Amin.
Actually, I don't think Denzel's too old to play Uncle Dennis, but what about who plays David Sampson?
Unfortunately, I don't have David Sampson cast. I think a helium balloon could play David Sampson.
All right, if John Carroll Lynch won't do it, can we get Kyle Gass to do it?
To play Balmer?
Yeah.
That's the comedy casting.
Okay.
You know?
David Koechner is the comedy casting for Steve Ballmer.
That's a good one, too.
I do have Dan Le Batard on here.
Who do you have? Horatio Sands?
The guy from the 21 Savage music video is Dan Le Batard.
Oh.
Yeah.
We're bringing it back.
Bring it back. You did such a good job.
The 21 Savage movie that never came out.
Or Fat Jeremy Piven as Dan Le Batard.
Oh.
What about Fat Horatio Sands? I feel like he does a good job, right?
I think Jeremy Piven might have the verbal dexterity to execute a Dan Le Batard monologue.
That's good.
And finally, okay, this is my super serious version. We're getting Aaron Sorkin to write this. We're getting Pablo Torre talking through the PTFO offices, walking and talking around the streets of New York as he tirelessly combs through documents and harasses sources on the phone to get the information that he needs. And we're bringing David Fincher in to direct, and we're turning this into Zodiac. We're going to have Pablo Torre's character going through many internal struggles as he battles
marital strife. You're consumed with this. You missed your daughter's soccer recital, whatever.
Poor Violet.
All of Violet's extracurricular activities are being neglected in the pursuit of taking down Steve Ballmer. The other option, of course, is, keep it in the Meadowlark family. Adam McKay,
of course,
oversees the whole operation, and that's more levity, the lighter tone that we would need for this execution.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. Big Short was...
Don't look up.
What's what I'm saying. He's trending towards serious topics, but there's always that Adam McKay snark.
That wink and a smile. Yeah.
A little satirical take on it.
I'd rather Adam than Sorkin. Sorkin, get out of here with Sorkin.
Well, Pablo, I think, might prefer something a little different, and these are his life rights after all. We'll work on your casting. I'm sorry I didn't like Tim Meadows. I thought you might like this one.
Oh, man.
Lakeith Stanfield, you made me happy. Go give me Lakeith Stanfield.
He'll play two roles. He'll play Kawhi Leonard and Amin Elhassan.
Yeah, they'll put on a wig, and he's got braids now.
Lofty Aspirations coming to FX and Hulu next fall.
My assignment. Uncover why the association inspires more conspiracy theories in volume and salience than any other U.S. sport.
So you've heard of the Illuminati.
The truth is out there, but so are lies.
Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
The NBA has always been controlled by about 8 people.
Denial is the most predictable of all human responses.
If you're only using 10% of your brain, you don't even know that you're using 10% of your brain.
The NBA Illuminati.
If coincidences are just coincidences, why do they feel so contrived?
The Illuminati.
But you start to follow the money, and you don't know where the f*** it's going to take you.
It is unspoken. They have influence among other players.
The NBA Illuminati.
I don't have time for your convenient ignorance.
Maybe I'm a conspiracist now as well.
That's all it took. Oh, we got books, we got schools. You saw a video on YouTube.
Why my eyes, sir? You've never used them before.
We are the Basketball Illuminati.
This is Basketball Illuminati. I am Tom Haberstroh, and as always, we are joined by the 5-star Illuminarmy generals Amin Elhassan and producer Anthony Mays.
Members of the Illumination can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/countthedings. You can also show your support by wearing a Third Eye hat or a Basketball Illuminati shirt or hoodie. Check out the link in the show notes or go to the Count the Dings store on Cotton Bureau and keep that third eye open.
Return guest, truth teller, true hoop teller, Henry Abbott joining us, the author of Ballistic. Got a new book out. We're going to talk a little injuries, but most importantly, we're going to talk David Stern stories and what would David Stern do. He's got a book coming out, Ballistic, and we're going to talk to him about his latest article about finding Steve Ballmer $8 billion. Can't wait to find out how the audience receives his idea, his light years idea about how to pay a punishment to Steve Ballmer while actually making him happy in the end. Coming up right next.
Right next.
Right next.
You all think I'm late. Well, I'm not late. And I'm going to stay right here and fight for this lost cause, even if this room gets filled with lies like these. and the tailors and all their armies come marching into this place, somebody will listen to me.
There's no better way to overpower a trickle of doubt than with a flood of naked truth.
But the complexity and the gray lie not in the truth, but what you do with the truth once you have it.
What is true and right is true and right for all.
You and I both know that that's just not the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Too messy. Keeps them up nights.
I'm here because in the end, the truth is worth the risk.
Speak a little truth and people lose their minds.
I'm a grown man, you can tell me the truth.
Why is it people who want the truth never believe it when they hear it?
So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something really outrageous. I'm going to tell the truth.
Henry Abbott, our boss, our friend, our, I guess we would all call him our North Star when it came to reporting and all that good stuff at True Hoop Presents at ESPN, now at truehoop.com. Also has a book, Ballistic, and an amazing David Stern story that I want to lead with here. Is an elevator. Weren't you in an elevator with David Stern at one time where you got into an elevator? It's kind of one of my favorite NBA stories.
Yeah, so I think what you're talking about is early in the lockout in 2010, I guess?
2011.
2011. I asked a question about economists, and like it started with economists say, and we can go into the details if you want, but basically economists say David Stern's full of shit is kind of the underlying point, right? And then they called the press conference to he gave a very stupid, dumb, vague answer. And then we all went in elevators down to the lobby of this swanky New York hotel that's not there anymore. And then I started to go home. I was going home, and everyone's spilling. There's like, I don't know, reporters and NBA officials and stuff. And I just hear I have my back turned, but I hear over the lobby, like, economists say, fuck you. And I'm like, that might be for me. You hear like someone yelling, like, I'm like, that might be, I said economists say, like, and so I turn and there's like, he waddles like the penguin, like a little do. There's like David Stern coming after me. And then he basically is like, walk me back to the office. And then he like, I walked him back to the office, and I really only later on he was the same age as my dad, who was running marathons at that time. Like David Stern aged terribly. He was not particularly old, but he could barely walk, and literally up and down the curbs, I was like helping him, like you do, and he just started giving me like straight gold, just all this insight into what's happening in the talks and all this stuff, and I see it as part of his genius, where he was like warning me off my stupid economist tactic, but hey, if you're in the good graces, we got all this insight for you.
Economists say, fuck you.
I just got them talking to Ethan Strauss about the Doc Rivers of when you do that, you refer to someone by their name and compliment their question and all that, and all of a sudden you feel a little affinity there that makes you maybe not be as hard edged as you would be if it were just an adversarial relationship. When he yelled at you, did he appear angry, or what was his?
Oh, he has that like I've actually read like high testosterone tends to give people a wolfish grin. This is the like kind of sadistic, like, haha, I got you, right? Like he was loving it. Actually, Chad Ford taught me this. Chad Ford, he lived in Hawaii, right? Flew in, but he's a lawyer, and he came to actually it was the NBA lottery and in Secaucus, and Chad just fucking stuck it to him, like hard question after hard question about like basically why do we have a draft at all? And Stern was like, oh, and like as soon as it was over, Stern came over and he's like, Chad, it's so great to see you, like blah blah. And like and I was like, Chad, what is going on here? And he's like, oh, I learned a long time ago, he just loves to fight. And I was like, oh, okay, like I can use that information, But he's just happy. He just likes that shit,
So you just wrote this great piece for True Hoop. If you're not subscribing, you should absolutely right now. Truehoop.com. Your Substack, you have this great story about like what you would do or what you're advocating for Adam Silver to do. I don't know if that's the right phrasing, what he should do, but your idea was brilliant, and I had never considered this. But in the middle of that story, and also in that David Stern obit that you wrote, that also comes to mind about one of the best pieces you've written, just to capture like who David Stern was as a person. You had kind of linked to this report or this scene where, to a room full of reporters, he had said, that, like, a question was asked, like, about, the bodies that are buried, where the bodies are buried in the NBA. And he responded by saying, I know where the bodies are buried because I put them there. I can show you the map. And I'm like, yo, that is such a crazy line. I wonder what it would have been like to be in that room. So I clicked on the link in your article and it went to a deadfoxsports.com. I went to the Wayback Machine, plugged in that link. I fucking was in the room when that happened.
Oh, you were?
I was like, what? And there was a tweet. There was like a list of like 5 tweets where it was like, David Stern just said, I know where the bodies are buried and I can show you the map. And it was at his like farewell press conference in 2014. Mike Wise asked him like a joke, like, hey, are you going to now finally reveal where the bodies are buried? And he like looked at us and he's like, I know where the bodies are buried because I put them there and I have a map. And I tweeted that. I was like, what, a couple years in, Henry, like covering the NBA. And I was like, David Stern just said this. And so it just completely vanished from my memory that I was there when he said that.
Doesn't know where the bodies are buried. Tom
Haberstroh.
Totally forgot about him.
There's a map.
Where's the map? Where's the map? God. So yeah, that's, I mean, the only line, I mean, that I can point to in the press conference that Adam Silver had a few days ago about the Kawhi Leonard story that felt Stern-ish was the smoking gun line.
Yeah. That was straight out of the book of David Stern, to focus on the hyper technicality of an idiom or a figure of speech. He said, well, the smoking gun itself is circumstantial evidence because you didn't see the gun fired. You just saw the smoke. And like he said that, and I was like, fuck, that's David right there. That's David right there. To sit there. Remember a time where someone used the term begs the question, and apparently like they used it incorrectly, and begs the question doesn't mean like gives rise to the question. It means something else. And David Stern sat there and explained that, and I was like, who cares, man? But yeah, Henry, one of the things that I have said a lot during Adam's tenure I've been the official flag bearer for hashtag WWDSD. What would David Stern do, right? And one of Stern's favorite tricks was to overstep the boundaries and the scope of whatever acceptable punishment was. For 2 reasons. For one is that he knew it would get scaled back anyway. But for 2 is to send the message, clear, undeniable message, this shit ain't gonna fly. And to put the proverbial head on the spike outside of King's Landing and let everyone else, we got a mad king up in here. And he did that. There's no shortage of times he did that in his tenure. And I feel like Adam hasn't done that either enough or at all, other than obviously Donald Sterling. But I have a feeling that you have a different theory on this.
I do a little bit.
A different view.
Yeah. Yes. So I think Adam came in as kind of a nerd. I say as someone who looks a lot like Adam Silver. All right. So I can say this, but like, David didn't have the worry that he would look soft, but Adam did, right? And Adam needed to have credibility with us, the media, with the fans, with the other owners. And so he came right in and shipped somebody, right? Like you're out, Donald Sterling. This almost never happens in sports. And so it was like, hey, maybe we have a strong leader. Maybe he's a wartime consigliere kind of thing, right? And because he needed that, right? And then they said about like giving Adam what David had, which was this kind of like a bunch of pocket votes, right? Just dudes who owed him a favor, who would vote for everything, which lets you manage this unmanageable. We have this term herding cats, like try herding billionaires, right? It's like none of them want to listen to anyone on anything. And somehow you have to get 17 votes to get a new CBA, right? And David did it a lot of ways, including with the media, which is why I'm realizing now in retrospect, I was at that hotel at the story I told you about because it leaked where the meetings were, right? I never knew exactly how that information got to me, but I made it to all the talks, as did several reporters, right? And then
the Pizza Hotel was a secret.
It was all a secret until fucking Chris Broussard showed up with the crew and said where they were on one of the things, and then it was like mobbed. But like you had to kind of every day like, oh, they're talking. You have to like work your Rolodex to figure out where they're talking, right? And we'd fly in New York in the car, be like, where am I going? And and Adam did a whole round of CBA talks. Nobody went to a single meeting. Not one reporter knew where anything was. And like, so that tells me David Stern intentionally had us there because he thought he would win through us. Right. He thought he would gain leverage from having microphones outside. Right. Mm-hmm. Adam has never been that guy. He doesn't use the media. He doesn't take questions almost ever. Right. He just doesn't think he needs the public on his side, which has worked okay for his kind of backroom style. But I think it's starting to fall apart right now in front of us where we need to believe him. And he hasn't been building that credibility. Right. So, yes. So I think Adam needed his 17 votes to get the CBA passed. And they did it like Vivek, listen to Vivek talk. Like the Sacramento team was maybe going to leave, but they're like, hey, like, let's get this guy who's going to be with, like, if you get this team, Vivek, we want you with us on everything. And he was like, hell yeah. Listen, he's like, no one's ever kissed ass more than Vivek with Adam Silver. And the other one is Ballmer, right? Like they were out with David Stern's, like he had this weird allegiance to Sterling. I don't know why. Sterling could have been kicked out of the league every single year of his tenure for something. Right?
Son at the very beginning, right? 84, they had a chance to get him out, and David Stern was the one that saved the day.
There's a story that like a fully reported story that, don't even get me started, but like a colleague of ours included in a story at ESPN that like the big bosses cut these few paragraphs, but it was literally Donald Sterling getting a blowjob in a business meeting. And like, it was a distraction from but like this kind of stuff like was like, what the fuck? Right.
What kind of business meeting are we talking about here? Business takes on a lot of shapes and forms.
I think it was literally like a GM candidate going over to be interviewed at his house. And when he gets there, Donald Sterling's like, and he's like, oh, do I need to leave? And he's like, no, come in. Like, what the fuck?
That's the clip.
There would be so many reasons for Donald Sterling kicked out of the league, right? All that stuff with the housing business and, you know, documented racist, married to a documented racist. Like, come on. And, but it only happened once, you know, so Stern never did that, right? Stern never policed this guy. And so then they brought in someone who was going to be loyal to Adam, whose name is Steve Ballmer. And now we're in a little bit of a difficult situation because now to look credible, Adam has to police Steve Ballmer, which, you know, you don't have to be like on an Illuminati podcast. I think maybe he doesn't want to do that, right? Like,
well,
go ahead, Tom.
I just wanted to get right into it on the fine that you suggested. The headline is.
Oh, hold on. Okay, so before we do that,
go ahead.
So Henry,
what kind of blowjob? No.
Yeah. So what does she look like? No, going back to Ballmer. Yes, he's very rich, and rich at that level means powerful. But how much of this also is, at least it appears that within those circles, he's a very well-liked guy. Meaning, if it were Jim Dolan, it'd be a whole lot easier.
Oh, God, yeah.
To take the pound of flesh, right? Because everyone's like, yeah, finally, right?
Well, and if it's not, I mean, I don't think there's any chance they're going to kick Steve Ballmer out of the league. But
no,
if that's like, that is the big option here, right? And then you'd get who? Mm-hmm. Like Larry Ellison? Like, do you know how creepy that guy is?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Skydance.
Yeah, I mean, they're just like, they're not that. What would the Clippers sell for? You think like, I don't know, like 8 million or something, 7 million, I don't know, 6 million, billion. Yeah. Me with my little numbers, silly guy. But you know,
economists say, "Fuck you." Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I don't think that number, the people left to purchase teams, are all creepy. Pretty much. So yeah, Steve Ballmer's a gem. It kind of makes sense where his money comes from. He has those long arms that he waggles courtside, you know, like who doesn't love that?
Yeah.
That's the second thing on your resume of Steve Ballmer's positive attributes.
There is no third, Anthony. Like that's it.
He's got more money than God, and he's got long arms, and he waves like a wacky inflatable tube man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any further questions?
Hello, listener. It's producer Maze here to talk to you about Kindred. Now, close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now open your eyes and stop using your imagination because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in host protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right, that's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS.
Listener, listen up. This is important, okay? I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think like, oh, that's bad. No contracts. No monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing like weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. And it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago, and I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Hello, listener. It's producer Maze here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered with 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, nonstick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with a cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings.
My marathon isn't about time. It's about my 26 friends with intellectual disabilities I'm dedicating each mile to. I'm Joseph, I'm running my first Bank of America Chicago Marathon for Special Olympics Illinois to help give my friends a place to shine.
Join Bank of America in supporting Joseph's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportjoseph. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation.
Jif peanut butter. It's that jiffing good. It doesn't really need advertising. So instead, enjoy the calming sounds of the ocean. Jif. It's that jiffing good. Get your Jif at Jif.com.
The headline was fine Steve Ballmer $8 billion. And that's, as Kawhi Leonard would say after we saw in the press conference, clickbait. Yeah, blah, blah. No, I think the way you lay this out is fascinating. The idea of Adam Silver has a really difficult task in front of him, appeasing all the other owners while also appearing strong, but also a kind of a strategic chess, not checkers move that could make Steve Ballmer happy and not like run him out of the league. The $8 billion is not just about, hey, he should pay us $8 billion. There's more to it.
Yeah.
Henry, can you lay it out for us?
Okay, so I think it will fail if they can't, like, we know they can kick owners out of the league because they did it, right? I guess that's a board of governors vote that's not in the CBA, right? So that's one option. They can probably make up any punishment they want if they get the whole board of governors to vote for it, right? So maybe there's some other solution that I'm not thinking of. But in the CBA, their options absolutely suck, right? They can take picks away from the Clippers, who are already a big market team with a brand new arena that's not good enough, and it particularly will suck in the future because they don't have enough picks, right? So like that's a bummer for everyone. They can fine him $7.5 million. And this time I'm not misspeaking. It's actually the pathetically small amount of money. What would you even do? What can you buy for $7.5 million, right? And everybody knows that won't hurt Steve Ballmer, right? Or they can like cancel his contract with Kawhi, which might actually arguably help the Clippers. So, I mean, all of these things just look like unsatisfying to us, the fans who want our pound of flesh here, right? Like this dude broke the rules and Adam doesn't really have a way to, a middle ground that will work for everybody here. So because we're all such sickos about the NBA, I was actually thinking about this on my downtime. Yeah, go ahead. I mean,
you're forgetting about the perhaps the most draconian of punishments that you could inflict on Steve Ballmer, because as you said, picks, we don't have any picks anyway. You can have them all. Money, I got more money than God. You can have that all. Suspension for up to 1 year. Any team personnel found out willingly engaged in such violation. Yeah. That is the Red Sanford, Elizabeth, I'm coming home. If you say that to Steve Ballmer, you got to stay away for a year, particularly depending on when that punishment is adjudicated, because if you do it before February 2026, that means he misses the big party that he's throwing for the world to show them how awesome his new house is.
But didn't they already say they're not going to have the results of the investigation until after his big party, right?
That was a report.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the reporting. They haven't said that. But that is I will just wanted to include that in the bevy of punishment tools available, because that is actually the most damaging punishment to a Steve Ballmer.
Yeah, to Steve Ballmer. To someone watching on TV, though, you don't even notice the difference, right? No, actually, Maze, you know what? Yeah, there you
go. Where's my guy?
You would never notice that his hands aren't constantly on the floor because he's got such long arms.
Maybe we could get like a mannequin, like the getting out that's outside the used car dealership. That's like in that spot. So they need to really punish him, and frankly, they need to not piss him off too. Like it's impossible to square. Meanwhile, there's another problem here, which is he has 168, 58, 51, depending how you Google it, $1 billion.
Depending on what day it is.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's actually a problem because Adam Silver has to get some of that money, right? That's the fix they're both going to want here, right? The other owners will love that, and Steve Ballmer's willing to give that up, I presume.
When you say the other owners would love that, can you explain how the other owners can enjoy Ballmer's money?
I mean, they do it all the time with revenue sharing, right? He pays luxury tax, I think about $400 million over the last 4 years. And that just essentially goes into the revenue sharing system, right? So he's one of the he's the headwaters, right? Of the water that irrigates the little poor teams, right? And so I think there's no reasonable, rational way they can just take $10 billion or whatever would be amount that would make everybody delighted. But they are currently having these ongoing foot dragging about should they expand to Las Vegas and Seattle. And one of the big issues is they sort of feel like they could get a massive fee, right? With the Lakers being valued at $10 billion and the Celtics at $6 billion. There are very greedy people in the NBA who would like to make the expansion fee something like that. But then there are others who are like, look, who can pay that? Who's, now we're back in the Larry Ellison conversation. But B, is that team just doomed when you get them, right? They have to get a stadium, they have to pay all this money, they have to do all these things. And I think that this might be like a key that fits the lock, where Steve Ballmer, who is from Seattle, has been the representative of Seattle in all sorts of talks on this matter, public and private, loves Seattle, raises his kids there, loves Seattle. Like, why don't we let him pay $8 billion to become the owner of the Seattle Supersonics, a team that doesn't exist currently, but will in a few years. And it can look right now like Adams being another super hard ass. And he can kick his ass out of the league. Well, he can do like the suspend him for a year, and during the year he sells the team, right? So he's going to get, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 billion. And then he's going to pay an absurdly high price for an expansion team in Seattle.
So this is essentially the Michael Jordan suspended for 1994 plan.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah, Ballmer's going to play baseball. Yeah.
But it's huge. Man, he can hit any outside pitch. Come on.
So the funniest thing to me about this is that it's not locking Steve Ballmer out of his house during the biggest party of the year. It's making him sell his house. Does he have to give up the Intuit Dome, or does he still own that, and then the new owner would rent it from him?
Well, let me put it a different way. There are going to be Seattle Supersonics at some point. He wants that team, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's a fucking Seattle guy through and through. Like, he doesn't want to be the Clippers owner once there are Supersonics. Like, we're just going to get him there with a little bit of backroom dealing,
Can Henry, you wrote this in your piece that, like, when he came in, he was cautioned not to move the Clippers to Seattle.
Yeah.
Why?
Because he was just seeing it. I mean, at that point, he'd been in like the documentary. He was like a real spokesperson for like, we got to get basketball in Seattle. And so Stern was like,
why did the league say no?
Oh,
why would the league
question.
caution against that?
I mean, I don't know, but I would guess they were. I really thought they were just punishing Seattle because they voted not to taxpayer fund. Right? It's a warning to all the cities, right? Like, you taxpayer fund your stadium, right? And then they voted it down in Seattle. So they're like, we got to go. They paid for the NFL stadium.
Speaking of nuking, right?
Yeah,
like
totally.
That's like, they nuked Seattle, then they came back and dropped another nuke. Like, oh, Steve Ballmer bought it? No, guess what?
Yeah.
Second one.
This is really interesting to me also because of the Cooper Flag Mavericks now are owned by a casino gambling monster like family, the Adelsons. Mm-hmm. And when they traded Luka, we were talking about it on this show, is like, what if the end game is that they hold the franchise hostage with the Texas courts, and if they don't get their gambling bills passed, then they're just going to pick up and move to Vegas.
Yeah.
And people were like, why would the NBA ever allow someone to leave the Dallas market and move it to a tiny market in Vegas? And I said, that would open up another team, because they already are trying to expand into Las Vegas reportedly. But then suddenly you've got the Dallas Mavericks are now open for business, and the franchise fee that would claim. Isn't that kind of a similar playbook that what you're describing is like, yes, if you're going to have a Seattle team anyway, let Ballmer have it, let the Adelsons have it in Vegas, but then you got these new franchises that are in huge markets in LA and in Dallas that are for sale. That would be wildly, like, that would be a huge payday for all the other owners.
And this is why Adams' job is so hard, right? Because he has to manage Miriam Adelson, who's tight with Donald Trump, right? Like, he apparently moved the U.S. embassy in Israel to Jerusalem because of her.
Yeah.
Right. Like, like Adam's going to tell her what to do. Like this Las Vegas Sands Corporation is big and most of their money comes from Macau. Right. And like,
and guess where they're playing in the preseason? Guess where they're playing?
We're so focused on like, oh, well, there'll be one more. Like, she doesn't give a fuck about all that, right? like she's got bigger fish to fry than, you know, is this franchise valuation slightly higher here or there, right? I think like she's going to get what she wants, right? Whether it's through Adam or through, you know, the freaking crazy president we have, etc. Right? I just think like, yeah, this is why Adam has to sort of do a lot of cajoling, and people like Miriam Adelson Seabomer have to like Adam. And then now and again, just like David Stern did with Glenn Taylor, right? Now and again, strategically, when you have to, you drop the hammer. But I don't think this game is generally about making everything fair or the rules or the fans, right? This game is about, you know, how do we make sure Steve Ballmer's, what number are we using now? 158 billion doesn't end up with an NBA competitor, right? How do we make sure that Maverick Carter's startup European league doesn't have $158 billion behind it? And you got to kind of like, you got to keep them in the sphere, or you have to keep them under the blanket of the NBA, which is, I think, getting harder as the billionaires get richer.
So if we had to count who are the pocket votes for Adam right now, and we're going one franchise, one vote. So Steve Ballmer's 158 billion does not count for more than Vivek's whatever he's worth.
Yeah.
So who would you say? So Ballmer, Vivek, who else?
I mean, I would guess everyone that's come in since Adam.
So Mark Walter, you would say Mark Walter.
Yeah. I'm strictly guessing. The two that you said are the two I know for sure, right?
Ishbia for sure.
Yeah, Ishbia. He got a pretty good deal, you know?
Yeah. Gabe Plotkin in Charlotte.
I would guess.
Whoever the new guy is in Boston, the name escapes me. Mickey's an Adam guy.
Is he?
No,
do you think? I don't know.
I don't think he is.
There's something going on with Jeannie and Adam too. They always get all like, they seem to really like each other. I don't mean that like you know, you know what I mean.
Henry, have you gotten any responses to this piece that make you think, oh yeah, maybe that is? I mean, far-fetched is one way to describe it, in the sense of like, would they really actually do this? But as you kind of marinate on this story, you're like, I mean, I could see that Steve Ballmer secretly would want to be the winner of the Sonics sweepstakes.
Yeah.
And this could be an avenue to get there. But man, finding $8 billion is an amazing way to frame this, because it seems like Adam would be coming down hard on Steve Ballmer if he had to pay a huge franchise fee for the Sonics. But at the same time, he's happy, and everyone else kind of feels like they got a pound of flesh by getting him out of the Clippers.
I honestly think, just not from my like understanding of the world, but just from my understanding of the NBA and its politics, I think it works, right? I think it gives enough to the fans and enough to the Clippers and enough to the league and enough to the billionaires and enough to Seattle that like everyone would be like, yeah, fair enough, right? I don't think it'll happen though, because it just looks so strange when he re-arrives, right? Like, it just looks like another backroom deal, which is what he got in trouble for the first time, right? Like, oh, did Steve Ballmer overpay for what he really wanted the whole time, like outside of the rules? Like, you know, I'm worried about that. That said, I don't think that any of the things we've really considered, like, you know, if they fine him his stupid $7.5 million and take some picks and void Kawhi's contract, and suspend him for a year, like, I think it looks such a slap on the wrist, right? It just looks super weak. So to me, something unconventional is going to happen here.
Yeah, it's because, you know, the funny thing is, in essence, what we're talking about is a sign and trade of franchises.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, that sounds weird, but then I thought about it. They did a 3-way trade in baseball, right? Where the owners of the Expos got the Marlins, the owner of the Red Sox, of the Marlins got the Red Sox, or however it was, where John Henry ended up owning the Red Sox, and David Sampson's father-in-law ended up owning the Marlins, and then the Expos moved to Washington. That was a trade. Like, those organizations were owned by different people, and so the more I kind of kick it around in my head, I don't know as much as a function of a tool of punishment. But I could definitely see a scenario where it's like, okay, Clippers, okay, LA, you get Clippers. It ain't gonna be these Clippers though. So, in that sense, if you're Steve Ballmer, it's not just the owner. I'm not the only one who's moving. It's Lawrence Frank, it's Ty Lue, it's everyone else as well. And the new owner of the Clippers, you get the building, which is huge. You get the brand, whatever that's worth, and whatever partnership deals they have. But I don't know. So much of the organization has been run in a way that only makes sense if you're worth $160 billion. I don't know if the
problem
next
with
rich
moving
guy
the
who comes
franchise
in.
is they don't get to charge an expansion fee.
Yes, they do.
Even if you move the whole team? I think you're paying for expanding, right?
You're not moving the franchise. You're moving the personnel. It's in the same way that Pelicans Hornets happened.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, no, it's a new team. It is an expansion team.
Yeah.
It's just the only part you get is the name. And all the people, they're coming with me. Because this guy no longer plays for the Clippers. He plays for the Sonics now.
But wait,
right?
in this scenario, they're adding two teams, right? And then they're getting an expansion fee from Seattle, from Vegas, and from the new Clippers team, which needs a whole new team.
Right. Well, not from Seattle and Vegas, right? It would be...
They're relocating to Seattle and Vegas, but they're paying franchise fees for the new LA team and the new Dallas team.
Right. Because the franchise...
But the relocating doesn't get you $8 billion. You see what I'm saying?
No, but by the way, there's a relocation fee as well.
Okay.
It's not $8 billion, but there is a relocation fee. But like now as we talk about it, I'm like, oh, this makes sense because I can charge higher expansion fees for LA and Dallas than I can Vegas and Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Especially if it's LA for Seattle. Obviously, if it's Seattle for Dallas, different story. But we're talking LA for Seattle, bigger fee in LA than it is for Seattle, and then Vegas for Dallas, definitely bigger fee in Dallas than it would be in Vegas. Everyone actually wins that way. Although that's why I say you have to kind of divorce it from the punishment of Steve Ballmer, because as a tool of punishing him, not so much.
It reminds me of the Joe Smith deal. Is like, hey, we can't put this in writing, but in a couple years you will win the Seattle Supersonics team if you just kind of go quietly on this Clippers deal. And it's like a backroom deal.
Half the Warriors roster did this summer.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, we got you, Al Horford. Just, we're used to this in the NBA, right? Like it happens all the time. Like, yeah.
So let's get back to Amin's question. What would David Stern do? So in this instance, what would David Stern do if he watches Pablo's 5-part investigative series? What does David Stern do?
He just beats the crap out of Pablo.
Right?
And he has that creepy smile the whole time. But I think, I mean, look.
Journalist who?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the model is the referee gambling, right? Like, he just kind of just beat up everyone who said that anything bad had happened and the game has been fixed. He just beat them all up. And eventually it was kind of like.
But there was a scapegoat. In Donnie, he made him public enemy number one, and he nuked that guy. And basically
totally nuked him, though. The full nuke is he fixed games. And they got FBI and everyone to go along with the idea that he didn't fix games, which is crazy. But that would have been a legal exposure for the NBA. So they stopped just short of that, right? They just threaded this needle of like, he was a gambling referee who like needs to be gone and blamed for everything, but he somehow had this magical ethic where he wouldn't ever use his whistle to help his bets. Like, whatever, David Stern. Yeah. But I think he just believed in the ability of his own mouth to just bully the public into thinking that someone reputable was in charge, right? And I think that would be, and then look, the worst case scenario here is that there's no villain, right? There's no one to blame, which they might have, talk about insufficient oversight or mistakes were made kind of crap, right? Which is probably everyone's first choice over at Wachtell Lipton, right? Is to have some kind of, second choice would be acceptable villains, right? The acceptable villains are Uncle Dennis and Joe Sandberg.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I'm wondering is there a way, when I saw how Ramona went at Kawhi, I was like, wait, is there a way to hang this on Kawhi? Like, is there a way that we can make it, the NBA could credibly make it look like Uncle Dennis and Joe Sandberg and Kawhi conspired and the victim is Steve Ballmer?
Well, I do think that all of the thrown out punishments are very light on Kawhi. Basically, the worst thing that could happen to him is his contract gets voided and he gets suspended for a year max.
And 350 grand.
Oh no.
It's a lot of trees planting. Yeah.
Oh no. So I do think that regardless of what happens to Ballmer, if Kawhi's out of the league for, let's say, a year and then is able to renegotiate a new contract on an open market, I don't think that's much of a loss for Kawhi.
How old is he now?
34?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think his new contract.
His knees are 72, but
Yeah,
he's
that's the
34.
I'm not going to pay him very much in his next contract. Yeah.
Somebody will, though, right?
You know, I thought about this, Maze. Like, if his contract was voided, what kind of market would Kawhi Leonard have? And dare I say, he'd have a pretty robust market.
Like, how much do you think he would make?
I think he would get 40-50 million dollars a year. Yeah.
Not long, but 1 year, 2 year, yeah.
So that was one of the things that I wrote about when the story broke, was like, what if they void his contract now, and then all these teams that have no cap space are like, we would like Kawhi Leonard to join our title chase, and the Warriors get him for the mini mid-level. And like the Warriors do it again with Kevin Durant. They get Kawhi at a sharp discount because of a weird loophole. Or the Thunder are like, yeah, we've had their full taxpayer mid-level available. Come on down and join our team. Not that the Thunder would do it, but I mean, if Kawhi Leonard was a free agent right now, that would be crazy.
You didn't even describe the biggest nightmare scenario of them all.
The Lakers?
Just go across the hallway.
Yeah.
But I think, look, I got a big presentation once from a respected NBA executive about how like LeBron's best move is to like take minimums and just go join young teams every year and like have low expectations. And if they win a title, like his off-court earnings will more than make up the difference. And it's just, and he said he's like, you know, on this kind of sad older team that doesn't really come that close. And I think that what we learned from that though is LeBron enjoys his control. Right, he doesn't want to go to some franchise with a new GM and a new coach fucking yelling at him, right? And then that quote where like the Clippers were like Kawhi's the sun and Uncle Dennis is the moon, right? Like, I don't think Kawhi's going to go join as some teams like sixth man or whatever, right? I think he controls the Clippers, right, with all the goodies. Like, he's going to go somewhere where we can get that. Right? Or I'll just sit at home and
that's the one I don't know if that's still available to him.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe
because but perhaps the most damning thing out of all of this has been the extent to which he is high maintenance in terms of I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
Right. And that if you look around and for all the guys that have, you know, let's take LeBron, for example. He's at it, but he does all of the things that we require of superstars in terms of shaking hands and kissing babies and being the face and all that stuff. This is someone who wants all of that compensation and does not want to do any of that part of it. I think this is and at the same time, also, it'd be one thing to be that way while being available on the court, winning games. But with the injury history, it makes it completely untenable. I think he is in a situation where he still can get compensated handsomely to play basketball. But the idea of him controlling another franchise, I mean, hell, there was a report, was it the Ramona and Shams co-wrote a couple weeks ago, saying like his tenure as a Clipper in that regard is coming to a close.
Baxter.
Maybe not his tenure.
Yeah, it was Baxter.
Yeah, maybe not his tenure as a Clipper, but a tenure as a Clipper in that light is
ass
coming.
Kissing is over.
It's over. Yeah. So
yeah. Okay.
They ran the money train off the rails basically.
Yeah. Too greedy. It's like that. What's like pigs get what's the thing, like pigs get fat
Slaughtered.
and get slaughtered or
Fat
whatever,
pigs,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Whoopsie.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like expecting the leadership of a team captain on the football field, but getting a sea captain. You wouldn't settle for just anything for your team. Shouldn't it be the same for your insurance? So don't settle for just any insurance when you can go with a leader. State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Big news. Sephora is now on Uber Eats. So if you find yourself facing a beauty emergency, like needing a last-minute gift, or you're just out of your favorite mascara, again, don't panic. We got you. Order now and get $10 off on Sephora orders of $50 or more on the Uber Eats app. Order now. Offer ends October 30th. One order per customer. Additional terms apply. See app for availability. Delivery fees may apply.
Welcome to Sephora. I'm looking for a perfume that's not too perfumey. I got you.
Serum moisturizer or moisturizer serum.
Let's get into layering.
My concealer is making me look worse.
Sounds like the wrong shade. Let's get you matched.
There's only one store that really gets what you're going for. Get beauty from people who get beauty. Only at Sephora.
Hi, Let's get you a basket.
Walmart Business is in the business of helping your business. Regardless of whether you're building bridges, building spreadsheets, or building lesson plans. Ooh, that looks fun. Walmart Business can help save you time, money, and hassle so you can focus on what you're building instead of what your supply closet is missing. In short, we take care of business so you can do more with yours. We're the Walmart you love, now for your business. Learn more at business.walmart.com.
The Joe Smith scandal, Davidson overstepped his bounds, like Henry, you described earlier, is he went over the line, and Billy Hunter was pissed, and his agent Dan Fagan was pissed because they pulled his bird rights, and it went into arbitration that they couldn't do that. They were like, wait a minute, you took Joe Smith's bird rights from him? Where in the CBA does it say you could do that? And Davidson was like, oh, I'm sorry. We'll go see you in court in arbitration with our
away. Yeah.
Yeah. And he got his arbitration judge, his lawyer, I think his name was Kenneth Dam, University of Chicago professor, who ruled in the NBA's favor and said, yeah, sorry, Joe, you're going to lose your bird rights too. So you can't re-sign with the Minnesota Timberwolves and still get your huge payment. Not only are you going to be a free agent and your contract is null and void, also your previous contracts are, for all intents and purposes, void as well. So you're not able to get your bird rights. And Dan Fagan and all the players union, they were up in arms about this, that he went way beyond what was allowed in the CBA. And Dave Stern was like, great, go for it. Like, see where that gets you. In the same way, is Adam Silver gonna be able to drop a stronger hammer than what's in the CBA now, that we're like saying, oh, it's 5 picks. Oh, it's only $7.5 million. Henry, do you see that, like, if David Stern were running this, he would have crossed that boundary and found a way to get his pound of flesh even beyond the CBA?
I mean, I think, would you like a little anecdote for as part of my answer, which is I visited the city of San Antonio years ago when David Robinson had just opened the Carver Academy, and I wanted to go visit it and had like a free hour. And there happened to be a cop who pulled up where I was by my rental car. And I'm like, hey, like, can you tell me how to get to whatever? He's like, well, what are you doing over there? And I'm like, I'm going to see this Carver Academy. He's like, hop in, I'll take you. It's very dangerous over there. I was like, have my doubts it's super dangerous over there. But so this guy drove, he was the highest ranking on duty officer in San Antonio. He told me a dozen times. And we spent a few hours driving around San Antonio. He's like, have you seen the Alamo? And I was like, not really. And he's like, okay. So we drove the car up onto like where the tourists are inspecting the Alamo.
Yeah.
And I was like, are we allowed to do this? And his answer was, who's going to stop us? This was an enlightening moment for me of just like how power works, right? He's literally the highest ranking on duty police officer in San Antonio. Like there's literally, you can't call anyone to stop him. It's not that he's allowed to, it's that there's no mechanism to stop him. Right. And so that's how I think about like the league office and the billionaires, right? Is they can do what the fuck they want, Tom. Like literally what's Congress going to come in? Like, you know what I mean? Like Dan Fagan and the arbitrator, like they don't give a fuck, right? Like worst case scenario, they're going to pay a little extra money, right? Like, or they'll have to let Joe Smith get his bird rights. Like it's just not that bad, right? So to me, like they just get to dream up whatever they want to do. This team there, this arbitration, this fee, this whatever, and then 75% likelihood they'll get what they want, or 25% they get a little slap on the wrist from somebody. But it's unclear who would even enforce anything on Adam Silver here, right? I think he can just do whatever he wants.
Well, provided that he has the backing.
Yes. He's got to have his tribe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That goes back to why I was asking how many in the pocket does he have?
I see what you're saying.
Because
Brilliant.
it changes that dynamic. The thing with David was that who was going to stop him? The commissioner on paper works for the owners. Everyone knew David was the boss.
Right.
And he ran that shit. And so even if he had guys who didn't like him, none of them spoke up. Like
this is the point. This is exactly the critical problem that like the right solution has to solve. And this is why I'm into this $8 billion thing, right? Adam's going to go to these owners and say, hey guys, like I know how we can keep Steve Ballmer happy, have like the biggest market that's not in the NBA, join the NBA. And every one of you gets, I forget what the math is, but hundreds of millions of dollars, right?
Right.
Like that's a pretty easy conversation, right? Like there might be problems elsewhere in the analysis, but not in getting other owners on board.
That's the other part of this. So expansion, the reason why expansion in and of itself has been a chore that doesn't seem to get off the agenda sheet in these board of governor meetings is because they don't want to split this pie.
Right.
They don't want they want a 30th, not a 32nd.
Right.
And so that's the part where I'm like, even with all of that, I still don't think that's enough money in the long term to make up for the long term smaller slice that they're getting, right? The $8 billion expansion fee.
It'd be 16 because you're gonna be getting two teams.
Two right? teams, all right.
Yeah.
So, but that second team isn't part of this.
No, but you set the price high, right? Now you only got to find one creepy Larry Ellison, right? And instead of it's just much easier to find two.
Right. But you're still talking about, what's that? So 16 times 30 is $480 billion. Oh, no, 16 divided by 30. Divided by 30 is roughly half. So call it $500 million. $500 million, but we have a TV deal that pays out how much?
I did the math in the piece. It depends. It's about $200 million per team that they, or $150 million, I think, that they lose over the life of this TV deal when they shrink the pie slices. Yeah,
I guess it's a lot, man. I think I'm not sure how. I think expansion is a thing the league uses just as a tool to get things that they want. In the same way David Stern used to do this with the age limit and all these other things that are like, they're not changing. None of this shit is going to change. It's just something to use when I really want this. Well, right? Seattle.
I think that the NBA has a problem when there's untold billions outside the league that want in. Because if it doesn't come to them, it's going to go to someone else, and that's ultimately a competitive problem for them, right? And so, they just got to get. I think right now the problem is it's just a pricing problem. Like you're right, they're slicing the pie up costs X, and so they're this period, this interlude to me is merely like, no, we're serious. Like you really have to come up with an extraordinary number to wow us.
The other part about this, and this is alleviated a little bit by our whole the Adelsons want to move to Vegas anyway thing. I've did the logical math a million times. absent it being someone with a gaming interest in Las Vegas, no one is going to put a franchise in Vegas. It does not make any economic sense. You in order to do this right, you have to have a building. The league has already said T-Mobile not good enough, right? Not modern enough, right? And even then, you'd still be a tenant. So you need to own your own building. In order to own your own building, you have to have upwards of 250, 300 nights booked. With playoffs, at best, you're getting about 60 dates. So that you got another 200 plus to fill, which most cities do with the Taylor Swift concert and the rodeo and Disney on Ice and all that. Because what? There's only one, maybe two of these buildings in town. But in Vegas, it is the most saturated venue market in the nation in terms of per capita. All of these things. You got T-Mobile, you got Thomas & Mack, you got Allegiant coming in, you got MGM, you've got the Sphere, you got all of these places. So now you're fighting in the most competitive market to book acts so that you can pay to keep the lights on the rest of the year. What owner chooses to enter that? For, by the way, not a huge market in terms of the number of people there, right? It's not like the NFL where like every week we have different people flying in from Oakland or whatever to go to these Raider games. These are games during the week, 44 of them, at the minimum. How do you? The more you start to dig into like the economics of how this thing works, the more you're like, oh, it could never work unless I already have gaming there, and I know my building is attached to. So I funnel them right there, like right this way. Okay, we're done with the game. All right, to the slot machines or to the tables or whatever.
The Dan Gilbert in Cleveland.
The Dan Gilbert in Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
That's the only way that works in that market, which is why the Mavericks being the only thing, or I guess to a lesser extent, Silver and Fertitta could build an arena in downtown Las Vegas and move the Rockets. But either one of those markets are pretty strong as is. I don't know if that would be enough of an incentive to go down that path.
That's a good point. I mean, and to add to it, I'm pretty sure that Oakview Group Arena, which is NBA ready, I don't know when it's going to be done being built, but Irving Azoff is like the kingpin of booking music acts in America, is a partner in that arena. So if you're opening a competing arena, you're not going to get a single one of the bazillion top acts that he controls.
Not only that, you know who he's very, very buddy with?
I don't think you're going to say Steve Ballmer.
Nope. It would be great.
Jim Dolan, right?
Jim Dolan is it. Yeah. That's his man, $100,000 right there. So you're fighting two venues at that point.
Right. Wait, do you remember it was a Jim Dolan email where they referred to Steve Ballmer as balls, right? With their face off. You know what I'm talking about? With the teeny call. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Great moment in NBA media. Yep. Okay.
I was looking into the Joe Smith articles and just kind of doing a deep dive into that and reading, Mitch Lawrence and Chris Sheridan and Steve Ashburn Mark Heisler all writing about this. It was so much fun. Like, it was so much fun to read all the press clippings from the Joe Smith deal. But there was a quote from Jerry Sloan, then the Utah Jazz coach, who said, "I have a feeling that the NBA knows what's going on in terms of cap circumvention with Joe Smith. But who will they punish first? New York or Minnesota? New York or Utah?" His point being, he felt like they're going after Glenn Taylor in Minnesota because it's a sacrificial lamb. It's a small market team. And of course, they're going to make an example out of Glenn Taylor. Mm-hmm. But when James Dolan and the Knicks are doing some of this same stuff, are they really going to come after him? And that Jerry Sloan comment back in 2000, it really is poignant today because David Stern never really had a Steve Ballmer in the NBA, right? Is it fair to say, Henry, that like in terms of wealth and how much money he represents to the NBA, that it's no longer James Dolan in New York, like we're thinking about market size in that comment, but like making an example out of Steve Ballmer. This isn't like the Charlotte Hornets are getting caught. This is Steve Ballmer's getting caught, and this is a totally different game.
I definitely think Stern had like 5 or 6 teams whose asses he kissed, right? And like if you wrote something mean about Prokhorov, Stern was mad. And if you wrote something nice, like Stern hugged me. I'm embarrassed about, like, I wrote a pretty, like, I went through all the articles, and Prokhorov was brand new to the NBA, of like his business history in Russia, and wrote about how he like slept in the mine and learned about the nickel business and blah blah blah. I just drank the Kool-Aid.
Wrote Paul Bunyan stuff.
I made up for it later, but in real time wrote that, and freaking then I went to a board of governors meeting, and David Stern was like, "Hey, I really thought that was like, he stops with like a head of state, right? He stops, and I'm in the line report, just like, that was an extraordinary piece of journalism, like, great work, blah blah." And it gave me the total willies, because I was like, "No, I know I was full of shit, right?" Because like I'm getting like the blessing of the billionaire, defender, right?
We even got Henry to bite. That's what David would say later.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, but he definitely kind of rode herd for some of his people, right? In a way that Adam Silver probably has to for Ballmer here. And the case of Ballmer is probably mostly because of just the 156 billion, but it could be just also because of the arms.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
Okay.
He's a nice guy.
Well, I remember, you guys might know this better than I do. You do, for sure. Horace Grant was signed with the Magic after the Bulls, and it was also cap circumventi. And it was Juwan Howard also was in a.
So the Juwan Howard one was this. The reason why we have cap holds is because of Juwan Howard. Because the Heat were scheduled to go under the cap, right? They had a bunch of cap space in '96, and so they were like, "Hey Zoe, how much is it gonna keep you?" Okay, this one. All right, just stay quiet. They went out. They went under the cap, signed Juwan Howard, and then came back and said, "Oh, we have Zoe's bird rights. So how does 100 million sound, Zoe?" And Zoe said, "Sounds good to me." And the league was like, whoa. That's not how this is supposed to work. Bird rights is supposed to help you keep your own player because you're over the cap, not because you went over the cap this same summer after you signed someone else. And that's why they voided Juwan Howard, sent him back to Washington. Orlando and Horace Grant, I don't remember that one, Henry. Do you remember what happened with Horace Grant?
I remember that there was a hubbub, but I don't remember the details of it.
There was a Scottie Pippen one, the sign and trade with Houston. And
yep.
That not Adam, David Stern had to they had to redo the CBA a little bit, do a tweak about sign and trade rules, because that seemed like a circumvention of the rules. So I guess it raises the point is like, if Adam Silver lets the Clippers slide here, will the next team, if they aren't Steve Ballmer, get caught in something like this, they'll drop the proverbial hammer? Like, is that where they won't go after Steve Ballmer, but if the Memphis Grizzlies do something like this, we're going to come down hard.
Jerry Sloan's going to come back from the dead and just beat up Adam Silver, right? Like, that's just, it would look so terrible if it was the Grizzlies who got.
Oh, dude, I just looked it up, the Horace Grant thing.
Okay.
It's basically the Danny Manning thing, which is the difference. Okay. This is really fucking nerd talk, NBA contracts. So, Horace Grant signed a 6-year deal with Orlando that had a player option after like the first year. And the idea was he would opt out because back then all you needed was 1 year with the team to get full bird rights. And so he would opt out of that first year and then sign a completely brand new deal with bird rights at a much elevated number. Danny Manning, which I believe happened the following offseason, what the Suns did was they signed him to a 1-year deal. And then he got the full bird rights, and then they paid him all the money. So that was how they got around the cap circumvention of Horace Grant, which was the what do you call it? Like I said, the 6-year deal, but a player option literally after year one. And the league said it was cap circumvention. It went to court, and then a judge ruled that the clause was illegal, stating it was, in fact, circumvention. So then Grant eventually revised the contract, and he signed by less money and had an escape clause after 2 years instead of 1 year.
Yeah.
It's just fucking, oh my God, David must have had a fucking.
Well, I think it seems like, like the agent who makes that handshake deal in both of those examples you just gave, right, is an agent who deals with 29 other teams every day, right? And so like everybody kind of knows that this is happening. And so I feel like, so to plenty of front offices that I've talked to over my career, like they feel like the NBA just makes up the rules as they go, right?
They
like,
absolutely do.
Yeah.
So the 1998 CBA, I'll never forget. So my first job in basketball operations was with the Knicks, working for a guy called Frank Murphy. Frank Murphy was the first person ever called a capologist, like on paper.
No way.
Right. So he said the 1998 CBA, he told me, it was like, this was all David's fucking revenge on all the loopholes and all the shit that they used to do. So David Falk was the one that was all those guys that he got coming out of college. They would sign these massive deals and they all had opt-outs after year 2 because he knew at that point, whatever we were worth before, we can tear it up and we'll come back and be worth so much more. So David Falk had that going. The Knicks had the balloon payment. So it's like, we only have this much cap space, so we'll pay Charles Oakley $2 million, $2.5 million, $15.8 million. And then so like they did everyone was like wild west of how you could structure these deals in order to avoid this stuff. Again, bird rights is after a year, sign a guy for a year. Wink, wink, we're going to take care of you afterward. And then obviously the piece de la resistance was Kevin Garnett, $126 million over however many years. And everyone was like, okay, this shit is out of control. And so David's revenge was, we're going to know exactly how much you can make. We're going to limit it. And all these loopholes are done. The raises, the rookie scale, which was a response to Glenn Robinson's $68 million deal coming out of college, hadn't even played a single game. That was the 95 CBA that also came after a lockout. People forget there was a lockout in 95, but that fizzled after like a couple of months. But they got the rookie scale out of that. But then 98 was like full David's revenge. We're going to close all of these loopholes. Everything is going to be paint by numbers in terms of what you can offer, how much you can offer, how much the raises can be, how much the decreases can be, all of that. And it all stems from this, from the feeling that teams are taking control or whatever, or taking advantage, and the NBA's response is, we'll do whatever the fuck we want, basically.
Yeah. And actually, I talked to a guy yesterday who had a very interesting take where he was like, the second apron is almost the hard cap the owners have always wanted, right? It's the hardest cap the league has ever had. And this instance, this moment with Ballmer and Kawhi is Adam's chance to make it a hard cap, right? Mm-hmm. To just say, look, like, we're serious about, like, you don't spend over this, right? And if he sends a strong message here to this owner with this team and that player, then it might really be a giant win for the billionaires.
I wish I had my glasses so I could say, well, actually, the hard cap they always dreamed of is the first apron when you use non-taxpayer tools. Non-taxpayer mid-level exception, sign and trade, all that stuff triggers an actual real-life hard cap at the first apron. That was their dream right there. The second apron, technically, is not a hard. I mean, you can go as far past the second apron as you want. It's just the idea is like, this becomes worse and worse for your health. It's almost like the difference between no smoking versus smoke all you want, but like understand that cancer treatment is around the way, around the corner.
Babies on the cigarette packs.
Yeah, it's like a fencing. It's like, like, are these livestock fenced in? It's like, well, do they get out? Right. And to me, like, this is where the second apron is like, well, not many of them are getting out anymore. Right. Like, we got an ISPA here and there, but like, it's starting to kind of coalesce that, like, just mostly because of these trade restrictions, right? Like, you get stuck with a Kevin Durant and you know what I mean? Like, like, that's kind of an unthinkable thing. But now they're like, oh, when they wrote this several years ago, they actually meant that it would be putting handcuffs on us in a way that we don't enjoy. It's like, yeah, man, like, everybody read that years ago. I don't know why it took you guys so long to read it, but here we are.
You mentioned cigarettes, smoking, and all that. So we're going to talk about health real quick. Ballistic, your book, Henry.
Don't smoke.
Don't smoke. Also, work on those hips. If you are going to smoke, make sure you're walking and doing some exercises to open up those hips. You got this book here that it's brilliant, and it will rethink the way that you.
I'm not paying Tom, you guys. He just talks like this about me. It's very nice of him. Yeah. Anyway, it's not a competition. You don't have to all weigh in about how great I am. Don't worry.
I have something in my drawer, just like in the Joe Smith deal, that a backroom deal. That you guys don't know about. So we also, during the media day this week, media week, we've got all sorts of injuries that Jason Kidd is saying the bad reporting that Kyrie Irving's ahead of schedule. Whoever said that's bad reporting, and it turns out it's Nico Harrison who said that Kyrie Irving was ahead of schedule this summer league.
Guys.
There's Wes Edens who is talking about how there's a real opening at the top of the Eastern Conference, and we're making Giannis happy. And, with the Achilles tears of Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum, there's a real opening at the top. Meanwhile, Damian Lillard also had that, and it's a reason why you had to eat that contract in order to sign Miles Turner. There's a lot of injury talk about players ahead of schedule, behind schedule, and it's really shaping the NBA. And the team that I do the broadcast for, the Blazers, just found out that Scoot Henderson is hurt. Tore his hamstring, and he's going to be out for a while. So you have a book to promote. What have you learned in all your research in writing this book that informs how we view media day and all these teams trying to adjust expectations for this upcoming season, and what's really happening behind the scenes with the player bodies?
I mean, what's really driving me crazy is I've spent enough time with Marcus Elliott, who you know well, Tom, and whose life mission is to sniff out injury risk before the crisis, right? What does it look like? How is Scoot moving on his workout videos that we can all watch, which I've watched a fair amount of because I'm a Blazer fan, working out this summer? Is there something in that would say, hey, Scoot, take it easy today, or don't do this move because you're at elevated risk for a hamstring tear, right? And that's the holy grail of this, right? And in some injuries, the models are pretty tight now, right? With ACL prevention, like I think if Fred VanVleet had been at P3 all summer, he would have an intact ACL right now, right? I believe that.
P3 is Marcus Elliott's.
Marcus Lab in Santa Barbara, where they do like super detailed movement assessments, about 1 million data points per assessment. And then they have more than 1,000 NBA players in the database. So they can actually compare how they have a 2-year retrospective study, hundreds of NBA players, and everybody who tore an ACL, they go back and look and say, how does that person move? And 100% of the players in that particular study had this particular habit of landing on the outside of their foot and rolling to the inside. And a giant percentage of them had a femur that rotates as they squat. And so those are things you can assess every day of the year if you want to, right? Did FVV land on the outside of his foot? I don't know, but it seems pretty likely. And like, can you train himself? You're out of that? Yes, you absolutely can, right? So I was doing some of that training myself this morning. So like, this is the kind of stuff that like, it's not the same knowledge that most trainers have. It's not the kind of stuff that like when this book comes out, the trainers are like, great, I'm going to change my whole profession. Like, that's not really what they want to do, right? They don't want nerds with 1 million data points to be making health decisions, but it's kind of nevertheless a better peek into how humans move. So in Scoot's case, these hamstring tears come in a very limited set of circumstances. When Marcus was at Harvard Medical School, the Patriots reached out because he'd done a study of like hamstring tears in hurdlers. And then Bert Zarens, who's like a very big deal doctor in Boston. He's like the U.S. Olympic team doctor in the Celtics and the Patriots at the time. And he reached out to Marcus and said, what can we do to get the Patriots hamstring injuries down? They'd had 23, including Terry Glenn, their star receiver the year before. And so they started doing this before they had the big movement assessments. So Marcus started taking like every available factor, the temperature in the arena, the position, the time of year, the position on the field, to see if there were trends in who had hamstring injuries. And the answer is there totally were trends. So it's people who run full speed. So special teams, defensive backs, cornerbacks, and wide receivers, right? Yeah. And then there's some particular factors in how they move. So one of them is Some people, when they sprint full speed, they'll have like good form, which is a complicated thing to say, but just trust me, for like 5-10 steps. But then when they get to like step 30, 40, their form gets all raggedy. Then they tear their hamstring. So like you'll notice in the Olympics, 200-meter runners tear their hamstrings, but they don't tear it out of the blocks. They tear it like coming around the curve, right? You have to get up to speed. You have to let your form go to shit. And so the other thing is this posterior pelvic tilt. And this is where we're talking about the hips, and it's kind of hard to conceptualize, but if these are your hips seen from the side, some people have anterior pelvic tilt. Some people have a posterior pelvic tilt. It's like this bowl of cereal and you'd be spilling milk out the back or the front. If you run super fast and you're super strong, like Scoot is, Scoot tested MP3's data before the draft as like a very injury resistant tip top athlete. And if you just look at him, I mean, the dude's like, he looks great, right? He's a super stable looking NBA athlete. But in dudes like that who tear their hamstrings, Marcus was not commenting about Scoot because that didn't happen when I was writing the book. But basically, what they tend to do is their hips are tilted, a posterior tilt, which pushes your leg a little further out in front of you, which means, and because you're very strong, the moment that you're pushing off the ground, you're pushing off really hard, right? So you're going to have this big time landing, and you have to absorb the force into, this set of 3 stacked joints, ankle, knees, hip, but your hip is already taxed, right? So you have this taxing impact moment at the moment that your hip is already pulling on your hamstring more than it should, right? And so you're going to go boom, and like you land on the ground. And people with this anterior tilt tend to stay with that foot on the ground longer because they have to kind of like recover it all. Whereas if your hips stay stable, then you go like bounce, 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 bounce. But if you have this one, you have this kind of grindy, sloppy time on the ground, which is very taxing on the soft tissues. And so I don't know what happened with Scoot, but I would love it if someone told me, oh, we checked his hips and he didn't have anterior or posterior pelvic tilt, right? But he probably did because no one's checking that shit, right? This is what worries me is like the things that are knowable now that are affecting the teams we love and the players we love. And it's a big problem for Scoot in his career, I think, honestly. Like he was kind of iffy, right? And now he's got competition for playing time and he really needs to really improve. And he's not going to be better this year, most likely, right? I hope I'm wrong, but anyway,
De'Aaron Fox, that was hey, hello. De'Aaron Fox is saying he's might not be ready for opening night.
Yeah.
Because of a hamstring issue. And I'm feeling like it's a good thing they got Steph Castle and Dylan Harper there, but Dylan Harper's also dealing with some stuff. And so I'm also now feeling bummed for the San Antonio Spurs is just like, oh, De'Aaron Fox is coming out of the gates with a hamstring injury, which can't be great, Henry, right?
Yeah. And there's another, like Marcus gets very grave on some topics. And one of them is this hamstring thing where he's like, you can have one. By the way, everything I just told you was about hamstring strains. Like Scoot has a hamstring tear,
which is like that's the part to me
that's worse. Yeah.
Aren't you? Yeah. Well, yes, that's worse. but also, this might sound ignorant, but isn't he a little young for that? Like, how do he's 21?
It is unusual. Yeah.
That's like hamstring is
a gym, man. Yeah.
Hamstring tear is like, that's a crazy amount of wear and tear in order to get to that place where you can even rupture it, not strain it, but straight up tear it. So for that to happen, I'm like, that's a little odd for someone fairly young in their career.
Well, I think there's a tip. Like, I think he might fall into the category of like these 200-meter sprinters, these dudes who are just like so forceful that, the human body has a hard time coping with the landing. Yeah. But the thing Marcus gets great about is that you can have one hamstring strain and recover pretty well. He's like, but once you have 2, like you tend to have a bunch.
Wow.
And so you want to like really take the first one super seriously. And the thing he really recommends, honestly, is like, he's like, people are too timid with the hamstring with like soft tissue work. He's like, it's super duper painful, but what happens is you get scar tissue in there, and then the scar tissue means the hamstring can't stretch as much as it did when it was healthy. And we already know you're biomechanically predisposed to hamstring strains. So now you have less rubber to stretch, right? And so the trick is to spend the recovery period getting like a very mean person like shoving their elbow in there while they like move your hamstring back and forth. And it hurts like crazy. That's what I like. And you do a ton of it. Yeah. Most people don't do enough in his view. So I don't know.
Ballistic, the New Science of Injury-Free Athletic Performance by Henry Abbott, and also True, the Hard Truths. Since 2000 what?
2005. Yeah.
2005.
That's when I was working for Frank Murphy.
That's when we met, right?
That's when we met.
Yeah. That's a long time ago.
Yelling at Henry by email.
What do you think we were talking about? What was an early topic?
Yeah, I want to know.
I know what was a topic that made us kind of become like buddies. It was the World Wide West.
World Wide West.
But before that, I had already been emailing you.
I probably have those emails.
Things that you got wrong.
Yeah,
You don't know what,
nice. Yeah,
like you don't know what you're talking about. Like
when it was a little bit like you know, like you have to ask yourself when you get an email from the internet, like, am I talking to a crazy person?
And
have you, after 20 years, have you?
Where'd you land on that? Which way is your cereal bowl spilling out?
What's it's like? There's
a crazy person who knows a lot more about the CBA than me. So I was wrong about those things. I'm sure.
Henry, the clip on Instagram that our show has gotten more views than anything is Amin running through the Camden Connection and World Wide West and Leon Rose. Just
channeled a lot of early true hoop in that.
I went to a Camden game, and it was kind of amazing. So
when was this?
Just a few years ago. Oh my gosh, Arthur Barclay. Does that name mean anything to you?
No.
So, and let me get this. Oh, you were texting my memory. So, when DeJuan Blair was like the top high school player. No.
Yes.
DeJuan Blair? No. DeJuan
Wagner.
Milt
Wagner.
This is how bad my memory is.
Yep.
So, when Milt Wagner's son, Wagner goes way back with Wes. He's like his oldest friend, right? And he played at Louisville, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then his son is tip top player, and they get him to
Memphis,
Calipari in Memphis.
Yep.
But they send along another player as well, Arthur Barclay. And Arthur Barclay, got a scholarship to be on the team, but he wasn't really that level of player. And then he got hurt. Mm-hmm. And I was doing the West investigation at that time. And I was like, and one dude said to me, look, this is the measure right now of West's whole operation is if they ditch Arthur Barclay, then they're assholes. But if they take care of him, then, hey, this is pretty good. And I figured out, I heard a little bit about what happened to Arthur Barclay, but it was always in the back of my head. At this game I went to post-pandemic, Arthur Barclay was there. And I was like,
what was he doing?
He was in a suit. Yeah. He initially, when he got hurt, they got him a job at FedEx, and he worked at FedEx for a bunch of years. And then he's married, he has kids, and he has some good job. And he's there with like the mayor of Camden and the coach and the head of the school board, and they all just love World Wide West, right?
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, this is not the worst thing that ever happened in the world, right? Like, this is like a tip-top team, and basketball's got a lot of problems. We were just talking about a lot of them, but like to zero in on this as being like particularly the worst part, I'm like, I don't like, I could write a book about all the shit that went down there, and it's not all, perfect, but it is a family. They have a family going there, and it's kind of the Knicks family now.
We got to add this to the reel, guys.
Yeah.
Arthur
Got to
Barclay.
add the Henry addendum to our Camden
I was waiting
connection.
for you to tell me that like Arthur Barclay Jr. dropped 35 that night.
It's a cool scene to go to those Camden games, but it was also Jalen Brunson showed up.
Of course,
Jalen Brunson just came inside the front row. And
holy shit! Do you know what Arthur Barclay is?
Tell me.
This is from his Wikipedia page. Arthur Barclay, born April 29, 1982, is an American former collegiate basketball player and Democratic Party politician who represents the 5th Legislative District in the New Jersey General Assembly.
No wonder he was hanging out with the mayor.
That is not what he was doing when I was there. How long has he had that job?
No, he doesn't have it anymore.
Oh, okay.
Resigned from office June 2018 after being charged with assault relating to domestic violence.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Well, whole roller coaster of emotion there to close that out.
Yeah.
We went through it. Thanks, Amin.
Thank you, Henry.
Yeah,
man. No problem.
$8 billion.
All going to Tom for talking so nice about me.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll make sure it's written. Thanks, Glenn Taylor.
Cash it.